topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Hello and welcome to Fearless, Fabulous You. I am your host, Melanie Young, and I am so glad you're joining me. Today is June 17th, 2026. We are in the height of summer here in New Orleans, and I hope you're enjoying your start of summer wherever you are. Before I start into the topic today, I wanted to address, you may notice I have a bruise here. No, I was not strangled, but it's important I bring it up because yesterday I had a thyroid ablation. I have a nodule on my thyroid. And because I'm a big believer in being proactive about your health, I've been monitoring it for quite some time and getting a biopsy because it's been growing and you don't want to get a goiter, which really takes over your neck. Thank you to aging, that happens. So yesterday I had a thyroid ablation without anesthesia. It hurt like I can't imagine, but basically it was surgical and alternative to surgery. And so I'm a bit bruised and my voice is a bit weak because of it. But the lesson learned from this is I chose not to have surgery when I knew I had a growing thyroid nodule. I believe in getting at least 2 opinions, if not 3, and I did. And the first doctor, who was an ear, nose, and throat specialist, last July said, you must get a thyroidectomy. You have a thyroid problem. You need to have your thyroid removed. Now, I have done a lot of shows on thyroid health, and I knew that if you have your thyroid moved, there are complications, and you're on medicine for the rest of your life. So I wasn't 100% sure I needed to have my thyroid moved. I don't have thyroid cancer. Yeah, what I have is a growing nodule, but it had not been biopsied as, cancerous. It was just growing. And I didn't have a problem with my other thyroid. So a thyroidectomy would have required me to be on medication. If you've had a thyroidectomy, I'd love to hear from you to see how you're doing. By the way, you can contact me at Melanie Fabulous on Instagram. Anyway, through friends and research, I found a doctor here in New Orleans. He has patients all over. His name is Emil Kandil, Kandil, from the Kandil Thyroid Institute, Parathyroid Institute, and he specializes in has pioneered a procedure where they ablate the thyroid to shrink it and biopsy it rather than take it out. When I first met with this doctor, he almost burst out crying when I told him I was considering a thyroidectomy, because he said too many people, including women, just opt to have their thyroids removed because they don't want to deal with it anymore. But he said they don't understand the lasting and long-term impact that can do on your health and well-being. And so I obviously don't choose surgery unless I'm really 157 million%. I did the ablation and it hurt, but it's just a bad bruise right now and a tight throat. And I'll get my results soon, but I still have my thyroid. So what my message is to you is don't just accept one opinion on anything you are doing. Always get a second or third and talk to people who have gone down that path and do your homework before you decide you're going to have a procedure. I'm also interviewing surgeons for another procedure right now, and which brings me to the topic that is at hand. I interview a lot of medical professionals on everything about women's health. I'm a big believer in helping my audience and you all out there to take charge of your health and choose the best direction for it. So I'm interviewing some surgeons about some eye issues. I have a drooping eyelid I'd like to address. I wear makeup to cover it. But while I was talking to this very famous surgeon, she was asking me about this podcast, and I was telling her that I started Fearless, Fabulous You and the companion podcast, The Connected Table, about 12 years ago. It was a second career for me after running my own public relations firm and in New York City. And I was telling her, and she was really interested. And she said, "Wow, you have an amazing life. It's aspirational. I aspire to have something like that." Now, this famous top-rated surgeon who makes tons of money and everybody goes to her, is telling little old me that I have an aspirational life. And I'm like, I don't know. You're pretty awesome. You're pretty inspirational for what you do to help women. Which leads me to, what is an aspirational life? And what does it mean to you? And what is an inspirational life? And what does it mean to you? Frankly, I'd rather have an inspirational life than aspirational life. That was what my mother taught me. But here's what the difference is. Are you always dreaming of what you could be or what you wish you could do? Are you okay with where you are, but a little uncomfortable and want to do better? An aspirational life is reaching for something and hopefully attaining it. Aspire is actually aspiration describes setting objectives and goals. The root of it is to breathe and to reach out and breathe. So when you aspire, you want to stretch yourself, you want to grow, you want to become something. You were in the process of becoming and evolving. That's aspirational. Where inspirational is, you're already doing something that is almost like a role model to others. You are doing something that inspires and projects a sense of comfort and aspiration, but you're inspiring others to follow in your footsteps and wanting to better them and better the world. Okay, they're both great. But if I could be inspirational versus aspirational, I love that. And so I'm going to inspire you. First of all, I didn't always live an aspirational life, if we want to start there. Something came up on my feed, my Facebook feed, June 15th. And it showed so many great pictures. And, you get those, year, this day in the memories. And June 15th popped up and I looked at this woman, they were all pictures of me traveling the world and doing all these amazing things. And I'm like, wow, she's pretty awesome. That's a cool life. It's an aspirational life. And I posted on my Facebook feed, boy, June 15th has been really great. It's aspirational and inspirational. Of course, I had to dodge a lot of minefields to get here. And that's what I get to. It's not always that easy. You do have to dodge a lot of minefields. You just don't talk about them. People who live an aspirational life and inspirational life don't really talk about their minefields. They talk about the positive and the proactive part. But if you aspire to improve your life and do something, what's stopping you? The can'ts, I can't do it. I can't, the won'ts, the will nots, should nots, could nots, would nots, not now, but when. Those are mental roadblocks, not physical roadblocks. So the first thing you would do if you want to move forward and have this new life, you got to remove mental roadblocks. But let's take it a bit further. Why don't you sit down and really write down, what is it about your life that you love? I did this. Okay. I did this. And a lot of it is in my book, which I'm going to show you the cover, Fearless, Fabulous You, Lessons on Living Life on Your Terms, which you can buy from me directly for a very discounted amount or on Amazon. And we'll show the cover during this show. But Fearless, Fabulous You was about that girl who decided one day that she wanted to change her life. She had a great life, but one day she remembered, as it says, that the only person who could make herself happy was herself. So she took back her power, reclaimed her place in the world, and shined like never before. That is the start of my book, Fearless, Fabulous You. It's by Ann Taylor, an international recording artist. There was a time where I had the most aspirational life ever. I was living in New York. I was running a very successful culinary events and PR agency called M. Young Communications. I was queen of the culinary PR world. I started the James Beard Foundation Awards, which just announced their 2026 winners this week. Shout out to all the women who won, lots of them. I started Restaurant Week for the city of New York. I had clients coming. I never had to go out and sell myself. People just came to my company. Young Communications. It was a great time. It was the 90s. New York was great. I was making lots of money. I was growing the business. I didn't really think about the future. I didn't even think about getting married. I was just busy living that life that many people aspire to, including myself. I was living the ultimate aspirational life. If you ever see Sex in the City, I could have been one of those women or the fifth friend. So all of it was great. And then one day the world came tumbling down and I lost a lot of business through really crazy reasons. I don't want to go too into it, but one of my clients was arrested for embezzlement. Boom. One of my clients, the government changed and new heads of, new people came in. Boom. Another was a major magazine. They changed publishers and direction. Boom. Things change in life. People change directions. And maybe you're not going to be on their team anymore. The ultimate was Hurricane Katrina. We were in the process of producing a major event here in New Orleans for Viking Range Company, and boom, a Cat 5 hurricane wiped out most of my beloved city, New Orleans, and my event forever. The event never took place, and there were never any plans to do it again. That's like within 12 months, another hurricane hit Palm Beach. Boom, another event we were in the process of producing, gone, wiped out by a hurricane. It was a tsunami, not a hurricane. It was a tsunami of loss. Talk about minefields. I had to dodge $1 million. I was dealing with a massive, colossal loss of income, company income. I had a huge payroll, an expensive office, lots of debt because I was living that aspirational life, not putting any money away. And I was about to get married. Right. So I had to either stop, pull back, don't do anything, or just say full steam ahead. Now, I chose full steam ahead because I'd said, I've waited this long to get married. I will rebuild. I will rebuild. I will full steam ahead. Now, in hindsight, I probably wouldn't have done that now because I'm an older, wiser person, and I do feel that many fancy schmancy weddings are overrated. Sorry, brides, but I do. But we did. We got married, blah, blah, blah. I went rebuilt, and then boom. Just as I was rebuilding my company and back on track, making good money, I tightened my team. My lease was up. I downsized. I saved money. I was making money. All was great. And I was traveling the world, living that aspirational life again. So I rebounded. I full steamed ahead. Didn't let anything get in my way, including fear. And what happens? I'm in Italy on a trip to help meet with different Italian organizations to put together really a fabulous tour of Italian wine regions in the United States. Dreamy, right? And I find a lump in my breast. Right. I'm sitting there lying in bed. I was doing my monthly self-inspection, big believer in that. And I found a lump in my left breast. I was like, that didn't seem right. So I come back to the United States. I have my annual gynecological exam because I'm one of these people, and you should be too. You book your test, your primary care physician, your gynecological, your gastroenterological, your dentist, get them all scheduled out. Just have them all ready. Mammogram was always October 31st, Halloween. How could I forget? Anyway, long story short, that was 2009. That July, I come back from Italy, or I think it was early August. My OBGYN says, I think you need to see a breast surgeon. My life came tumbling down again. I had tumbled. I had rebuilt. I was at the top of my game, and my life was starting to crack again. Now, many people would just be like, I'm done. Nope. I full steamed ahead. I got my 3 opinions from 3 surgeons because I like that rule of 3. I'm down to 2 lately. 3. I researched my reconstruction. I got everything ready. I had my double mastectomy because I was diagnosed with cancer in both breasts. They had to go. Even if it was one, I would have gotten them both gone. I didn't want to live with that. Oh my God, what if? I had my bilateral mastectomy. I interviewed all my oncology specialists. They all said I needed chemo. I argued, I fought, I didn't want to do it. But at the end of the day, I realized that they're the experts and not me. And I need to put my body in the hands of the best people possible to heal. Because until then, I didn't think I was sick. So what does this have to do with aspirational living? Because every step of the way I bounced back. Because I believe that you can aspire to pull yourself out of even the deepest, darkest areas if you put your mind to it, and if need be, get the proper professional help. You can pull yourself out and see light again. The tunnel gets longer and brighter, not darker and dimmer, but you got to work at it. You got to really be fearless and say, I'm worth it. Okay, so I aspired to be healthy again. I aspired to rebuild my life. And I aspired to help women do the same. The result of that is I wrote a book, Getting Things Off My Chest, A Survivor's Guide to Staying Fearless and Fabulous in the Face of Breast Cancer. I aspired to write a book. I did. I put my mind to it. I wrote it thinking about every single woman who was diagnosed with breast cancer, who, like me, just felt completely lost and couldn't find the right book that gave the most practical advice for getting through a journey you didn't want to take. So I wrote it. That book was followed by Fearless, Fabulous You, Lessons on Living Life on Your Terms, based on a blog I started for therapeutic reasons. I started writing. I wrote myself out of writing for me is therapy, basically. So, find the therapy that makes you happy and makes you centered. For me, it was writing at the time. It's a little different now. But I wrote this book to kind of help people get out of that stuck place when their life changes and they don't know where to turn next. And maybe some doors have shut. How do you find new doors to open? Well, aspirational living is you sit down, and maybe it's a journal, maybe it's a book, whatever. You sit down and you really think hard. You could maybe go to someone and talk to them, a coach or a therapist. I didn't do either. I didn't have a coach or a therapist. I just did a hard self-conversation. I'm good at that with me, but that's me. And I said, what do I like about my life right now? What is it that's not making me happy? Because at some point, you've got to take the things that are making you unhappy and bringing you down and get rid of them so that your world can open up to new things. Now, this didn't happen overnight, and there were a lot of things I realized that were making me unhappy. I didn't realize it at the time, but I realized there were things I wanted to do and there were barriers in the way. So the first thing I decided was I really no longer liked working in public relations. That was a big and expensive decision, but for a variety of reasons, I decided to close my company. I couldn't sell it because I had lost business, I had built business, but the process of selling a company means you have to be in really good health. I was recovering from breast cancer. You have to be willing to sell your company and do what they call the golden handcuff, which means you work for another company for 5 years, 3 to 5 years. I didn't want to work for anybody anymore. I was done. And when I tell my husband or anyone, I'm done, I'm really done. You have to say, I'm done. I said, I'm done. So I talked to my financial people and my CPA. I decided to close the company. I just was done. Now, was that the best decision? No, I probably should have sold the company. But at the time, it felt like the best decision. And you have to go with your gut, go with your heart, and go with your head. Head, gut, heart. Okay? You have to have them all in sync. So mine said just, you know when to hold, you know when to fold, you know when to walk away, you know when to run. I did all that. So I took time to write a book. Took time to get a consulting gig just to kind of pay the bills, because you got to pay the bills, make the donuts. And once my book came out, I decided I was going to do my own public relations and promote my book. And I went on a book tour. I self-financed it, and I'm on camera. I'm doing radio shows. I'm talking to people like you. And somebody said, wow, you're a natural at this. Have you ever thought about having your own podcast? I'm like, wow, I had never done that because all my life I was told to get out of the way. I was in public relations, and people always said public relations people are not supposed to be front and center. They always have to be behind the scenes. I was the message whisperer to other people. I couldn't be seen or heard. I just had to tell people what to say and how to say it, but I had to stand in the background. So suddenly I realized that I was more comfortable in the front lines, talking to people and being myself and shining my light. And that's when I decided it was no longer an aspirational life I wanted to pursue, it was an inspirational one. When I realized that I had a message that I could share to people and I could do something to motivate and help other people, inspire them to make changes and no longer feel like they were stuck in a rut. That's when I decided I wanted to aspire to live an inspirational life. And that has been my goal ever since. However, things change, and here's the thing: the road gets bumpy no matter where you're going, and you're going to bump along with it and either carve a new detour or you're just going to weather the bumps. I weathered the bumps until one day I said, I don't like this road anymore. I want to go on that road. So that was 2019. 2009, no, 2018. 2018, I was getting to approach 60. Yeah, 60. And I was like, took that assessment. Are you happy where you are right now? Where do you want to be for? I realized I probably had maybe 20 to 30 more years left in my life. So at 60, I realized I had lived over half my life. And that realization led me to another aspirational moment where I said, I think I want to do something different. How do I want to live the next 20 to 30 years of my life? Okay, that's a big one. So the first thing I did is I decided I wanted to get rid of all the dead weight that was weighing me down, mental and physical. And the physical was really monetary. I was carrying a lot of debt. I had a house that it was big and it was filled with stuff. And I no longer liked the stuff. And I felt isolated in the house. It was outside of New York. I had FOMO. I wanted to be in the city again. And I didn't want any more debt. I decided I want to be out of debt at all costs. I want to live a debt-free life with less stuff and be free to travel more and never worry about money, never worry about being stuck. So to do that took a lot of fortitude, a lot of fearlessness, and really focus. So I decided that I would sell my house, sell whatever I had in it, lighten my load to lighten my spirit, because I realized that things no longer mattered to me. I'd spent all my life accumulating things, building a business, having a reputation, living up to all of that. And then I realized that, does anybody really care but me? Well, some did. But at that time, I decided I wanted to just let it all go. Except for the show. Somehow I'm still doing the show. And sometimes I say I want to quit that too. We'll see. So we put our house on the market in the Hudson Valley and we started to sell everything in it. But something really crazy happened called COVID. And we were kind of stuck in our house. But we were okay because we felt safe. The good thing is, suddenly everybody in New York City wanted to get out of New York City and everybody wanted our house. So we took the leap. We sold the house. We sold everything in it. Whatever was left, we put in this pod. Literally, it's called pod. One pod. I think it's like 16 feet by 13 feet. That was all the left. I bought a car with the proceeds of selling my house, a big SUV, sturdy, nothing fancy. I'm not one of those fancy car people. Put whatever we had left. Okay, 2 suitcases for me, 2 suitcases for David, our life paperwork in a duffel, and a wine suitcase with 12 wines to drink before we went. I think it was 6 wines to drink if Armageddon and the world came to an end. So we called it the Armageddon wine suitcase. We had our dog Sazerac. We hit the road. We had no schedule other than we were just going to live on the road. We thought we were going to camp. that didn't work so well. But the universe opened up, and suddenly we were staying in friends' second homes. They were being unused, cabins, wherever. Somehow we found a way to have a roof over our head for over 2 years, living on the road. It was aspirational in the sense that we were debt free, living on the road when many people were still confined to their homes during COVID. And people were like, I aspire to do what you do. That's when we started realizing that we had an aspirational life to other people, because we were still traveling and living well. And it seemed to be living really well because we were living simply and traveling around and posting about it. Nobody saw the other stuff, like, you know, where are we going to do our laundry or all that boring stuff? We didn't post that. But then it inspired people to say, I want to do that. I want to do what you did. Many people, friends since then, have sold all their belongings in their house to live a simpler life. Pretty awesome, right? So our aspirational life became inspirational. It was great. But then we realized that had to end also. When my mother became ill, we moved in with her to take care of her. And that was a different kind of life, but we knew that it was important and we did it. But we continued to travel with her blessing. So here's the thing. The sacrifice was to give up that free and easy life to go take care of my mother, and she was difficult. But I knew I had to be her caregiver. I was her only child, her only daughter, and I wanted to be there for her, and I think it's important. And I realized that it would be a temporary detour in the road of life, and it was maybe 2 years. I know friends who've been caring for their mother for almost a decade. You do it if you want to help and because you're their daughter and because they would do it for you. But she still said, please, I want you to keep traveling and living your life. I don't want to burden you. She never did. And we lived her life. I'm grateful to her for that. But what I learned in the process was that we did need a home. We did need a base. And at some point we needed it. And suddenly I wanted a base again. So I went from living on the road and la, 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 and it was great, to I think I want a home now. So what I'm saying to you is your life is going to change and your priorities will change over time. An aspirational life is that you make it happen and don't wish it could happen. You don't wait for things to happen to you. You make things happen. But when things inevitably happen to you that you cannot control, you lose your job, you lose your clients, you get diagnosed with cancer, COVID locks you down, your mother gets sick. You learn to navigate it and make the best you can of the tricky situation. It could be a difficult situation, but you make the best of it. That's what you should always aspire to do when you're living your life. To me, an aspirational life is one where you're doing the best you can and living the best you can, whether it's within your means or you're seeking to improve yourself to get out of a situation and making a new life. As long as you are happy doing it, you're not hurting anyone else, and you can say, this is good, you're living what I consider not just an aspirational life, but an inspirational life. You're not complaining. You're not saying, oh, I wish. Oh, no, I can't. You just say, I'm going to make it work. So the surgeon who said I have an aspirational life, thank you, doctor. She inspires me because she helps people. Doctors help people, they inspire. I go take trips and write about them, and I'm aspirational because people say, oh, I'd like to do that. I hope you do. There will be a day, I don't know when, where maybe I can't travel anymore, where I can't do all the things that I'm doing. Maybe I won't be doing this show. Maybe I'll get diagnosed with thyroid cancer, or waiting to find out. I don't know. But I, as an aspirational life liver who wants to inspire others, believe that I will accept whatever comes along and make the best of it. I will take the lumps of clay and build a beautiful sculpture. I will take the rocks that are tumbling down from my crevice, my beautiful vantage point, and not let them sink me into a sinkhole. I will rebuild a new road. You see where I'm going? It's all starting up here. There will be physical challenges. Maybe your knees go, maybe your back goes, maybe your vision goes. You will work around it. Today, my husband and I woke up yesterday, June 16th was would have been his mother's 94th birthday. It's always hard that first year when you lose your parent and that first birthday comes, or that first Mother's Day, and you realize there's no one to call. It's tough. And I'll let him have his space, and I'll let him do his posting. And he said today, well, we got past my mother's first birthday when she was no longer with us. And I said, we did. I said, but I want you to remember that every day you wake up could be your last day. So how are you going to live it? I know that's morbid, but I'm one of these people that do wake up and believe this could be my last day. How do I want to live it? And I want you to think about that. Like, I spent a lot of time putting off things because I was too busy. I was too busy running my company. Oh, I don't have time to go visit somebody. I don't have time to call somebody. I don't have time to take this trip. I don't have time. I didn't have time, and I wasn't putting money away to do it later. So I wasn't even saving for that rainy day. So, one, be wise with your money. I wasn't, so I'm telling you very seriously. Put money away because it will rain. It will storm. It will be a tempest. It could be a tsunami. Be prepared financially. It's inevitable. And I don't know about you, but I just inherited all I could inherit. There's nothing left. Unless I win the lottery or go write a best-selling book or start a new business or do something happens. So you are in control of your finances. You are in control of your health, sort of. You're really in control of your finances. So be wise early on. As for your health, you can only be in control of your health the best you can, but genetics, life's tolls, and aging will take their toll. And you got to be prepared. So what do? You make sure that you are in the best health possible. You say no if something doesn't feel good. You say yes to doing things that make you feel better. Because something will happen and you want to be prepared. Okay? Then you look at your situation. Where are you living? Who are you living with? What are you doing in life? And you go, is this what I want to be doing for the next 10 years, 15 years, 5 years? And if it's not, then make a plan. Talk to people in the industries or talk to people who are doing talk to people. Say, I'd love to know how you achieved what you did. I'd love to know how I can get involved in what you're doing. I'd love to know how you made your change. But also have a reality check. Maybe you're at the point where you don't want to be doing anything. You just want to sit back and enjoy life. You don't have to be anybody or do anything. You can just sit back and enjoy life also. It's perfectly okay. It's called retirement, I think. I mean, I toy with the word retirement. Is that a bad thing? It sounds like a good thing, but I don't know. Sometimes I've heard people go, I'm retired, but I'm really looking for consulting work. Then you're not really retired. You're still looking for work. So if you're going to accept retirement, enjoy life as it is, great. That's wonderful. You earned it. It's fine. Don't make excuses and say, but I'm looking for work. You're either going to be working and looking for a job and income, or you're going to be volunteering, or you're just going to just enjoy life, and that's fine. I'll tell you what I aspire for right now, because I'm at a different place. I'm 67. So I'm looking at my next decade coming up, 70. And then you go, well, I only have about 15 years left. I'm lucky. My mom died at 87. My dad is 79. Maybe you have 20 years, but then you go, what do I see? How do I envision it? And so I've been writing down what I see. I want to write a book, but I don't want to get nervous and anxious about it. I'll probably do the show a little longer and then say we're done. But then I'll probably do something else. I don't know. I still like the idea of starting another company, so I'm not thinking retirement. I'm just thinking about maybe I can help a startup. You got to write it down and say what would make yourself feel inspirational as well as aspirational. But here's some of my last final words to you before my voice goes out. Whatever you do, don't compare your life to other people. That's number one. Because if you constantly compare your life to other people, you will always see flaws in yours. That's just the way it is. It's like looks. So one, avoid the comparison game. Two, avoid the regret game. I mean, gosh, I have a lot of regrets. And when they start popping in like little nasty things in my head, oh, I regret this. I wish I'd done this. I should have, would have. I realize there's nothing you can do about it. It happened. It's over. The best you can do today is make sure it never happens again and make adjustments in your life to make sure it doesn't happen again or go in a new direction. You can't change the past, but you can improve the future and make the present pretty good. So that's the next thing. The second is be realistic. Maybe you won't become CEO of a major company because you're going to deal with ageism and bullshit. Start your own company. Maybe you won't go around the world on a big trip because it's like really crazy expensive, or maybe your spouse doesn't want to do it, or maybe the world's just crazy right now. Do a smaller trip. Maybe you don't want to live in a big house anymore. Sell it. You have too much stuff. We rent. I don't care about a big house anymore. It's not my American dream. My American dream is to be free to travel, be healthy. Actually, my American dream is to be healthy, debt-free, and travel, and do amazing things that inspire other people. And amazing things that inspire people aren't really that amazing to me. They're just maybe amazing to other people who say, wow, I wish I could be living your life. Well, I hope that you live your own life. Don't live my life. Live your life. And do it the way you want on your terms. That's the ultimate. So, as we said, one day she remembered that the only person who could make herself happy was herself. So she took back her power, reclaimed her place in the world, and shined like never before. That's the essence of fearless, fabulous you. Shine your own light, connect with others, be social, be confident, put your self-care first. Realize that you have amazing talents, abilities, and skills that you can do whatever you want with it. And if you don't, take a class, learn something new, keep your mind active, keep your body active, and don't say, I wish I could, I should, I can't. Just do it. Somebody said to me this week, I said to my financial person, I was like, I think I want to spend money on X, but I'm nervous about spending any money. I don't want to run out. He's like, oh, you only live once. Good grief. Don't not do something because you're afraid you may run out of money. Just do it, but no, you may have to do something, cut somewhere else. So, then you set priorities. How important is buying something? How important is buying a new this or this? I realized that I had more stuff. Again, I'm living with more stuff than I've ever had before. So I don't need any more stuff. I don't care. I used to want designer this and that. It's great, but I don't have to have it anymore. I'm happy with what I have. So, is that an aspirational life? Yes, to be happy with where you are in your skin and your life, to make the changes you want, but not fret about it. Do them with confidence and shine a light to others to make them lift up too. That to me is the ultimate aspirational life, and hopefully an inspirational one to you. So with that, I bid you a fearless, fabulous farewell for this show and remind you that you have only one life. So choose to live it on your terms, not on the terms of anyone sets for you, on your terms, on your time, and always choose your own way of being fearless and fabulous. Thank you.